Hello all, and welcome to the 2022 presentation of the CMA Awards. I'm Heather George, President of the Board of the Canadian Museum Association. Today we have come together virtually from across the country to celebrate stories of our sector. A team of volunteer jurors has carefully considered over 60 nominations and have named winners in all categories of the CMA Awards of Outstanding Achievement, the Award of Distinguished Service, the Museum Volunteer Award, which is presented in partnership with the Canadian Federation of Friends of Museums. We also have a 2022 presentation of the CMA President's Award, selected and presented by our past president, Michael Wallace. Please note that there will be no presentation of the Shirley L. Thompson Award this year due to a lack of eligible nominations, which means we will reopen the call for nominations in the fall. Today's presentation will be bilingual, with awards being presented in the language of the recipient. So please be sure to change your language settings using the translation button below. Now, before we dive in, it's important that the CMA acknowledge that its secretariat is located on the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. The CMA also acknowledges that as a national association, its work and that of its members impacts many Indigenous peoples and nations. Personally, as a member of an industry with roots deeply entwined with the colonial project, I'm committed to recognizing and addressing the systemic harms museums and other cultural organizations have caused to Indigenous communities on Turtle Island and globally. Further, I am committed to ensuring space, time, and support for Indigenous peoples to guide this work. As museum practitioners and citizens of a colonial nation, we have a collective responsibility to ensure we uphold Indigenous voices in our institutions. Indigenous expressions of culture, whether tangible or intangible, are deeply connected to the land which has not forgotten its responsibility to us as human beings, even when we have forgotten ours to it. As it is Haudenosaunee practice to gather our minds together in thanks, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge all of the elements of creation. The people, the earth mother, the waters, the fish, the plants, the medicine plants, the animals, the trees, the birds, the four winds, the thunders, the sun, the stars, the enlightened teachers, and the creator. Now our minds are one. Today's ceremony will be about 2 hours in length, so I hope you've all grabbed a fresh mug of tea and found a comfortable seat. A general order of events is available on the CMA website for those of you who would like to review any of the awards given out today. I also encourage you to check out the summer issue of Muse, where we will share more about the award recipients and projects. Today's presenters include myself, my fellow board members, Armando Perla and Tracy Trump, as well as past President Michael Wallace and Bruce Bolton, President of the Canadian Federation of Friends of Museums. Unfortunately, Sandra Zapata, also a member of our board, was unable to be here. As we reveal who was selected as award winners from the carefully vetted nominations, we ask you to celebrate with abandon. Please use the comment section to cheer on your colleagues and celebrate their accomplishments. While some of the award winners have provided pre-recorded messages recognizing their partners and colleagues, nearly all are in attendance here and look forward to your celebratory support. Now, without further ado, let's get to the exciting part. Presenting this year's 2 winners for the Museum Volunteer Award is Bruce Bolton, president of our presenting partner, the Canadian Federation of Friends of Museums, or CFFM. The CFFM is the voice of Canada's museum volunteers and a nonprofit organization that represents volunteers in museums and heritage sites across the country. Over to you, Bruce.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Heather. And how proud I am to be with you for this presentation today. I'm happy to say that we have Stéphane Akin, Director of the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts, with us today. Bienvenue, Stéphane. Depuis 2019, l'Association des guides bénévoles.
Since 2019, the Association of Volunteer Guides of the Montreal Museum has had a unique social event in Canada, guided visits to museums to improve the health and socialization of elders in a precarious social situation. Supervised by a team with Dr. Beauchamp, associated with the Center of Excellence for Longevity, RGIS McGill, and the Research Center of the Institute of Geriatrics of the University of Montreal. 4 enthusiastic guides with experience piloted this project over a 2-year period and interacted with 40 participants. And with a high demand in the association, they gave way to 4 new recruits and trained by the first cohort. The recruits for the second, they're starting a 3rd year now, trained by a veteran of the first cohort. Sometimes assisted by the interpreter for the Chinese group, the guides encourage spontaneous expression and developed a bond of trust with these visitors who are not very familiar with museums. They rebuild a human connection, some of them being immigrants themselves, and demonstrate their added value to the museum. This collaboration demonstrates the enthusiasm and skills of the guides to participate in a scientific research protocol on art and health. It highlights their ability to accompany the growth of the museum, even on new and uncharted paths. Please join me in congratulating the winning group of the Museum Volunteer Award, the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts volunteers, represented today by Barbara Tecker. Barbara?
Fine Arts, and on behalf of Madeleine Colasso, Nuria Claro, Andrea McKenzie, Colette Richer, Ghislaine Roy, Pauline Jourdain, and Grace Powell, and all the guides in our association. I would like to thank both the Canadian Federation of Friends of Museums and the Canadian Museums Association for honoring these 7 guides in their exceptional pioneering work with socially alienated seniors under the guidance of Dr. Olivier Bouchet, longtime professor of geriatrics, who is studying the effects of the arts on health in older adults. Je tiens à remercier notre directeur général, Stéphane.
I wish to thank our executive director, Stéphane Arcan, for the wonderful letter of support that he wrote to assist our nomination.
Letter accompanying our nomination provided by Dr. Serge Gauthier, a renowned figure in his work with Alzheimer's disease. Dr. Gauthier is well aware of the dedication of the guides at the MMFA, as he is the husband of one of our senior and very active guides. Finalement, je voudrais remercier Linda Goossens.
Finally, I would like to thank Linda Goossens from Education and Well-Being, including training, advice, and support, which helps us to do our best.
Part in this most auspicious award, and especially our 7 guides at the MMFA. Un grand merci aux Fédérations canadiennes des Amis de Musées et
Thank
de
you to the Canadian Federation of Museums and the Canadian Museums Association. Thank you.
Well, merci, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara.
And now to our individual volunteer award winner. Clifford Joseph Pereira became a volunteer associate in the research committee of the Museum of Anthropology at the University of British Columbia in 2015. After noticing the discrepancies in labeling of African items in the multi-university galleries and building on the museum's work to more accurately label their collection as part of a larger decolonization effort, Cliff patiently guided members of the committee on what turned out to be a long journey through Africa, hunting for information to decolonize the approximately 2,700 plus items in the Museum of Anthropology's collection. He included identifying items, their country of origin, region of production, ethnicity of the artist and or manufacturer, language of the ethnicity, original language names, meaning of the original name, brief history of the ethnic group, construction, and collectors. Cliff continued this work across time zone and national borders, continuing to volunteer with the museum as he completed work in Hong Kong, Doha, Qatar, and a Master of Research degree with distinction in the history of Africa and African diaspora at the University of Chichester. Overall, the process resulted in the investigation of over 1,000 items, with 600 items now assigned specific ethnicities and 300 items now with the original language names. Join me in congratulating the individual winner of the Museum Volunteer Award, Cliff Pereira.
I'm speechless to be considered for this award. Over the last 7 years since this project was first conceived, the research with the African collection of the Museum of Anthropology at UBC has been conducted at the museum, online, in Africa, and at museums in Europe. I have to thank the research committee and others at Vancouver for walking this path with me. This has been a fantastic journey through over 1,000 African belongings, each of which has opened a world of history and cultures, sometimes very individual. My hope is that the results add to the cultural capital of those who come to the museum and of its exhibitions.
Congratulations, Cliff, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bolton, and congratulations to both winners. Up next, we will have the CMA Awards of Outstanding Achievements. These awards recognize exceptional museum projects in the categories of stewardship of collections, audience outreach, exhibitions, research, and social impact. These awards, which were recognized by the CMA Award Committee 2 years ago, redesigned by the CMA Award Committee 2 years ago, are meant to recognize the best in museum projects and are all assessed by teams of pure jury volunteers for their inclusion, both in terms of accessibility and diversity, innovation and a promotion of new and creative ideas, to determine if they exceed the current standards of museum practice, the relevance of their work to the communities served, and the effectiveness of the project. The winners must also show collaboration and vision, using partnership and teamwork, as well as advancing a vision of the future of what museums could be. I will now turn it over to two of my dynamic colleagues, Armando Perla, CMA Board Vice President, and Tracy Caballeros, also Board Vice President and a CMA Fellow, to present 4 of the 5 categories in this section before we take a short break.
Thank you, Heather. The CMA Award of Outstanding Achievement for Excellence in Stewardship of Collections recognizes exceptional commitment in collections management, for example, in their physical care and the preservation of intangible cultural heritage, as well as or including relevant digital practices and documentation. This year, winners was phase 1 of the Artworks Renaming Initiative at MUMAQ, part of the Winnipeg Art Gallery. The Artworks Renaming Initiative was the first of its kind in any Canadian gallery. As with many historical collections of artworks, there are certain works in the Winnipeg Art Gallery's collection that are titled inappropriately in today's context. The Artworks Renaming Initiative addresses these problematic pieces by allowing Indigenous knowledge keepers agency in deciding how to go about renaming them. The 57 works by non-Indigenous artists that were chosen for this project carry inappropriate, outdated, even racist words in their titles. With the guidance of Indigenous knowledge keepers and elders, MUMAQ has retitled these works, acknowledging the colonial history of collecting institutions like the WAG in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and healing. Join me in congratulating the winner of the Outstanding Achievement Award in Stewardship of Collections, MUMAQ, represented today by Julia Lafreniere, Head of Indigenous Initiatives, and Mary Ann Redhead, Advancement Officer.
Tensei, I'm Marianne Redhead, the Advancement Officer at the Winnipeg Art Gallery, but I was the project coordinator for the Artworks Renaming Initiative.
Bonjour, Julia Lafreniere and Indigenikas, Camperville Nuji Wagushtodam. My name is Julia Lafreniere. I'm the head of Indigenous Initiatives at the Winnipeg Art Gallery, McMichael. We would like to thank the Canadian Museums Association for this award, and we would like to acknowledge that the Winnipeg Art Gallery sits on the homelands of the Nahiawak, Anishinabeg, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, Anishinaabe, and Dene Nations, and on the national homeland of the Red River Métis. The Winnipeg Art Gallery has a long colonial history, and there's still much work to be done.
The Artworks Renaming Initiative is part of an ongoing larger project to decenter whiteness and incorporate Indigenous knowledge and perspective into the art gallery. This particular initiative would not have been possible without knowledge keepers Wamdi Wakita, Pahan Te San Win, Victor Tsitsazi, Brett Hewson, and Martha Pete. Thank you.
Miigwech.
Thank you, and once again, congratulations, Julia, and the Artworks Renaming Initiative, and thank you as well, Marianne. I will now pass it to Tracy. Is Tracy here?
You know what my problem is? I can't run tech. Sorry, everyone. The CMA Award for Outstanding Achievement for Excellence in Audience Outreach recognizes programming that advances knowledge and understanding by reaching new audiences or enhancing existing ones. Published in 2021, Autism Arts documented and celebrated the shared journey of children, families, communities, and many others impacted by autism who have been involved in the 15-year-long innovative program, Autism Arts, a collaborative partnership program between the Art Gallery of Nova Scotia and Autism Nova Scotia. This beautiful book provided a well-deserved home for the collection of artworks created by participants throughout the years and is a testament to the resiliency of the human spirit with the promise and optimism of artistic expression. It includes written reflections, stories, and excerpts from interviews, photographs of workshops, participants' artworks, and gallery walks. Samples of curricular ideas and possible lesson plans are also a highlight of this valuable resource. The goals of the program shine through in Autism Arts pages, demonstrating a strong commitment to advancing conversations about how the art community can continue to improve access for individuals on the autism spectrum. The book collects a wealth of insight about the ways that autistic youth experience not only the processes of viewing and creating art, but also the galleries themselves, and shares the knowledge gained along the way. It gives witness to how engagement in the arts with opportunities for positive social interaction, a culture of care and inclusion can be transformational for everyone involved. Join me in congratulating the winner of the Outstanding Achievement Award in Audience Outreach, Autism Arts, represented today by Sarah Fillmore, Interim CEO at AGNS.
Thank you very much, Tracy, and thank you all for this incredible honor. It is my honor to accept this, but it's on behalf of a very large team here at the Arts value and power is evidenced in many ways, and the gallery is humbled by this recognition. Over the past 15 years, the Art Gallery of Nova Scotia has worked in partnership with Autism Nova Scotia to create an inspiring art program in response to the fundamental need for families with children and youth on the spectrum to have access to inclusive recreational experiences. For many of the participants, this Saturday art class and exploring the gallery have become their favorite part of their week. As one of the grandmothers has shared with us, this incredible program has invested time to understand the unique needs, strengths of each participant. They are valued and appreciated as their own person. The story of Autism Arts, as shared in the recent publication, illuminates the deep commitments of artists, autism support therapists, volunteers, families, funders, the partner organizations, and other community supporters. All have given time, energy, expertise, and care to build a strong and always evolving program. The program wouldn't be possible without them all, and we owe a debt of gratitude here to Joan Craig, whose personal story sowed the seeds for a place of understanding of the power of art as a means for self-expression and dignity for the multiple ways of knowing and seeing. Autism Arts is a place for self-expression and connection and social interaction, learning and acceptance. One of the longstanding participants, Abby, stated, "Art is the perfect way for me to express my passion and creativity, and these classes let me show off my artwork with people who have autism just like me." The award acknowledges a program that reflects responsive institutional citizenship and a deep collaboration between the two key partners, the Art Gallery of Nova Scotia and Autism Nova Scotia. Many hands have brought this work to light across the program over these 15 years through Halifax's gallery as well as our location in Yarmouth. It has been the passion of a dedicated team of artists and autism support coordinators and families centered in an art-based environment. I want to extend my own congratulations and thanks to the visionary leadership of Dale Shepherd here at the Art Gallery of Nova Scotia, who has always seen the institution as a platform for societal change. And thank you to all of you and to the Canadian Museum Association for recognizing this program in such a meaningful way. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you. And once again, congratulations to Sarah Fillmore. Before we move on to the next award, we would like to take the time to acknowledge this presentation's first honorable mention. Honorable mentions are sometimes awarded by jurors who felt a project closely competed to a selected winner in meeting the award criteria. For the award of Outstanding Achievement in Audience Outreach, we would like to take a moment to extend an honorable mention to another nominated project, the Canadian Clay and Glass Museum's Community Garden Project. More information about this and other honorably mentioned projects will be found in the summer issue of Muse.
Merci, Tracy. Le prix d'excellence en recherche
Thank you, Tracy. The Award of Excellence for Research in Museum Practices for the Development of New Knowledge and Better Understanding. This includes publications and collection management. Today, we have the pleasure of presenting two award winners in this category. The result of a vast research project, Cultural Mediation, Museums, Diversified Publics, a guide for an inclusive experience, is a practical tool for museum institutions, particularly those working directly with the public, to facilitate their interventions with people from marginalized groups. The project is rooted in an exhibition presented at the Écomusée du Fier Monde in 2018-19, Interreconnaissance, a citizen memory that is created following a qualitative research. This exhibit told the story of the rights of various groups in society and was based on testimonies of people who have worked to advance the rights of various marginalized groups in Quebec over the past half-century. Wishing to continue their collaboration, the researchers and the Écomusée identified three sectors of marginalized publics with whom we wanted to reflect on cultural mediation: disability, mental health, and immigration. This is how the present project was born, with four partners: a dialogue table of organizations that serve refugees and immigrants, the Confederation of Handicapped People of Quebec, the Group of Alternative Resources in Mental Health of Quebec, and Justice and Faith, 12 community organizations, and over 100 participants. The result of this research project is a bilingual publication in the form of a practical guide. An online version is available on the Écomusée du Fier Monde. Please join me in congratulating the winner of the CMA Award for Excellence in Research, Eve Lamoureux, with her project Médiation culturelle, Musée Public Diversifié, Guide for an Inclusive Experience, represented today by Eve Lamoureux, Professor and Director of Undergraduate Programs, Department of Art History at the Université du Québec à Montréal. Well, thank you very much I accept the award on behalf of the team that includes Stéphane Meunier and Fanny H. Levy. We are very encouraged by this award, which underlines the importance of the theme being dealt with to provide an inclusive experience to all audiences of the museum. And in addition, it brings to light the relevance of the research done in collaboration with the people who are most concerned in a close partnership. And I underline the closeness of this partnership between the researchers and the institution, in this case, the Écomusée du Fier-Monde. So thank you very much. Thank you, Eve, and congratulations once again to you and to the team.
Tracy, you need to unmute again.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it here. I'm very sorry, everyone. I'm struggling with a printed copy and unprinted copy, so please bear with me for just a moment. I'd tap dance, but it won't work. I'm very sorry I'm lost. Can you help me, Armando?
Yes, I can. I can introduce the second.
Here we
winner.
go. I have it. I'm at it.
Okay.
We're at our second winner for the research category. Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
Thank you. And I am very sorry, everyone. This is not my usual style. Our second winner for the research category is celebrating 2 consecutive wins in this category, as they won in 2021 for their publication, A Like Vision, the group of 7 at 100. Perhaps developed in response to their success, the McMichael Canadian Art Collection is back again with this year's winner, Uninvited, a collection of artwork strengthened by conviction, offering a counter-narrative to the male-centric ethos of Canadian art history. Developed in conjunction with an immensely thorough publication, the exhibition brings the significantly underrepresented female perspective to the McMaster Gallery, one of the hallmark institutions of Canadian art. With agency and devotion, the exhibition takes on the challenge of filling in the glaring gaps that exclude female artists from earning the recognition they deserve in the formation of a national artistic identity. The result is a deeply human collection that highlights the unique thematic underpinnings of the female perspective and the efforts these women made in advancing our understanding of Canada as a young country. Uninvited endeavored to recognize the individuals who are overlooked in the history of Canadian art, recognizing the artworks of Indigenous women as well as settler women as significant historical creations. Join me in congratulating the winner of the Outstanding Achievement Award in Research, the McMichael Canadian Art Collection, for their project Uninvited, represented today by Jennifer Withrow, Head of Exhibitions and Publications at the McMichael Canadian Art Collection.
Big thanks from all of us at the McMichael for this wonderful recognition of our publication, Uninvited, Canadian Women Artists in the Modern Moment, and also for our show receiving an honorable mention. We are so touched and gratified to see our work being honored in this way. As anyone will know who's looked at this publication, it is the work of many, many hands, very many hands. And we're so lucky to be able to rely upon the expertise of so many contributors who have worked for decades in this field, as well as in the intelligence and insight and sensitivity of a whole raft of newcomers in the field who are showing great passion for the subject. As well, of course, the book gathers together a number of Indigenous scholars and knowledge keepers and artists working today to round out the picture of female creativity in Canada a century ago. My thanks also personally to Jennifer Withrow, our Head of Exhibitions and Publications, for her stalwart leadership, and to Taya Smith for her peerless wrangling of cats in getting all of these various pieces together. She's in charge of publications at the McMichael, and she does an amazing job. So my thanks to my own team and to the incredible honor bestowed on us by the Canadian Museum Association. We are deeply touched.
Thank you, Jennifer. The selection for the research category was very close this year, and so the jurors would additionally like to award the following projects with honorable mentions. Autism Arts by the Art Gallery of Nova Scotia. Picasso, Painting the Blue Period by Catherine Whitman and the Art Gallery of Ontario. Future Possible, published by the Rooms Corporation and Goose Lane Editions. A Future for Memory by Dr. Susan Rowley and the Museum of Anthropology at UBC. Congratulations to these winners.
Thank you, Tracy. So the CMA Award for Outstanding Achievement for Excellence in Social Impact recognizes the significant contribution of a museum in advocating for the advancement of an important social cause, such as reconciliation, sustainable development, climate action, better standards of living together, inclusiveness, wellness, just to name a few. Today's winner is MUMAQ, the Inuit Art Center at the Winnipeg Art Gallery. MUMAQ. This is their second win today as an institution, with an earlier win for stewardship of collections. Following MUMAQ's completion in 2021, the WAG is now one of Canada's largest museums and home of the world's largest collection of contemporary Inuit art, housing an astonishing 14,000 pieces. Drawing formal inspiration from the landscape of the north, massive windows allow the visible vault, the centerpiece of the gallery, to be viewed from the street. With pieces only previously accessible through private appointments, the visible vault offers unprecedented access to 4,500 pieces, or nearly 5,000 pieces, organized geographically, emphasizing diversity in northern communities. The gallery also developed an advanced digital platform that allows the collection to be viewed anywhere, anytime, creating opportunities for deeper engagement with the history of each piece through multimedia additions. MUMAQ's goal is to connect North and South, and it has become an ethereal space that invites peoples to come together and celebrate Inuit art and storytelling, and advancing the vision of what more museums will become in the future. Join me in congratulating the winner of the Outstanding Achievement Award in Social Impact, MUMAQ, represented today by Riva Semko, Head of Collections and Exhibitions and Curator of Canadian Art.
Hello, my name is Riva Semko. I'm the Head of Collections and Exhibition at WAG McMichael here on Treaty 1 territory, Métis homeland. We are very honored to accept the Social Impact Award from the Canadian Museums Association. McMichael has become so much more than we could have imagined. This is a new kind of art museum, one that connects north to south and creates space for Inuit voices. And this place was made possible by an incredible team, and we are so grateful to the Inuit artists and communities that have inspired the concept, the form, and the mission of MUMAQ. Koyanamik.
Thank you, Riva. And the jurors would additionally like to award Voices of the Land from the Galt Museum and Archives with an honorable mention as well. And now, please allow me to welcome Heather back.
Thanks so much, Armando and Tracy, and congratulations to all of the award winners. Up next, we will complete the presentation of awards of outstanding achievement with our exhibitions category before moving on to the individual awards of the program. However, first, we will take a quick break so you can refill your tea and have a little stretch. And we would ask that you rejoin us in 15 minutes. So that's about, actually, let's make it 10 minutes and let's go quarter to the hour. Okay, so it's a quick break and refill you or whatever drink you're having. And we'll see you at 1:45. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. So I hope that you are all able to get a drink and have a little stretch. And we're going to continue on with the awards. And we have Tracy and Armando continuing.
Hello, and welcome back to the 2022 CMA Awards ceremony. In our next and final category of the Awards of Outstanding Achievement, we honor excellence in museum exhibitions. The CMA Award of Outstanding Achievement for Excellence in Exhibitions recognizes temporary, permanent, or traveling exhibitions that effectively and distinctively contribute to increased public understanding. This category featured the largest number of nominations, and today we are pleased to present 3 winners in this category, all of which are prime examples of community-led history telling. Completed in 2021, the Wanuskewin Interpretive Center renewed its interior exhibit area as part of a $40 million expansion project. Through workshops with elders, themes were developed to focus on the importance of connection to the land, passing on knowledge to the children, and demonstrating the deep and enduring relationship between the people of the plains and the bison. Designed by Aldrich Pears Associates, the space is experiences in 3 different sections: Elders Welcome, People of the Northern Plains, and Sacred Land. Important to the experience was diversity of language, with voices speaking 6 different Indigenous languages and inclusive of men and women, young and old. This reinforced 2 other important goals of the new space: to reinforce the continuity of culture and traditions and to provide an experience of environmental immersion. This nationally significant Indigenous-led project advances a vision of what a museum that tells the stories, histories, and perspectives of the Indigenous people it represents can be. It provides a center for cultural revitalization, brings in revenue, and contributes to the advancement of academic and Indigenous scholarship through many of its programs and partnerships. It demonstrates that collaborative projects on this scale can be achieved, and a multitude of voices, perspectives, and narratives can be woven together to great effect. Join me in congratulating the winner of Outstanding Achievement in Exhibitions, Wanuskewin Interpretive Center, for their new permanent exhibitions. Unfortunately, no one from Wanuskewin was able to attend today, but Shelby Redmond, the project coordinator, sent along a short text. The Wanuskewin team was ecstatic to receive the news as being a recipient of the CMA Award of Outstanding Achievement. Wanuskewin is very proud to not only be considered, but to have won this award. This project included many years and voices, and the resulting exhibition hall is better than we could have hoped. We are excited to share this with future generations to come and continue the work with leaders within the community. Shelley Redmond, Project Coordinator, Wanuskewin.
Merci, Tracy. Notre deuxième lauréat.
Thank you, Tracy. Our second winner has developed a renewed vision that craft must move out of the silos of their material-based presentation towards interdisciplinary representation where textiles, cellulose, ceramics, furniture, blown glass, and more. From 2018 to 2021, through the renewal of its permanent exhibition and rebranding, the Musée des Métiers d'Art du Québec has completely revamped its offering and value proposition. It has evolved from a local museum open to its community to a museum specializing in fine crafts in Quebec, offering a unique experience in a flagship heritage site in the borough of St. Lawrence in Montreal. The new permanent exhibition, Witness Object, A History of Quebec Crafts, is the DNA of this evolution. It's been the trigger, the engine, and the raison d'etre. The museum's updated mandate to preserve and promote Quebec's ancient and contemporary fine craft skills now allows it to collect a variety of works derived from these skills. So please join me in congratulating the winner of the CMA Award of Excellence in the exhibition category, le Musée des Métiers d'Art du Québec, and their new permanent exhibition, Witness Objects, A History of Quebec Crafts, represented today by Pereira, Executive Director of the museum. Hello, everyone. On behalf of our museum and all the members, the partners, I would like to thank CMA for this award. I am aware that it was probably very difficult to select among so many projects in the community, but I would like to thank everyone for this recognition. Our small team at MMFA has been working really hard to organize this project. We also repositioned the museum, reviewing its name and its brand name. Both were done simultaneously, representing a major effort for our small team. So it's with a lot of courage that we decided to review everything to update the institution. We had to face many challenges, including COVID-19 pandemic that slowed us But together with the members of the board and the project team, we went through all of this. And finally, this is improving the understanding of the know-how and knowledge in Quebec territory. This exhibition is representing 350 artifacts, and it's just a departure. We have many steps in front of us to integrate the knowledge and know-how of Native communities and Inuit and Métis communities as well, and we are aware of that. And in the coming months, we'll discuss with the appropriate people. So I'm proud of the work accomplished by all our partners as well as our team, but to the government of Quebec, the MUMAQ Foundation, PMA Montreal, and our curator, Muriel Gagnon, Laurent Michel Tremblay, organized the graphics, and Mr. Daniel Amar, General Director of the Quebec Museum, who supported us. So we now have a new view, and on behalf of everyone, I invite you to come to Montreal in the St. Lawrence borough. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Thank you, Pereira, and congratulations to you and the MUMAQ team.
The third and final recipient in this category is a timely project that connected students, museum personnel, cultural organizations, and governments to design and populate two unique but complementary multimedia exhibitions in Vancouver, one in Chinatown and one in the Museum of Vancouver. A Seat at the Table is one of Canada's most significant museum projects focusing on Chinese Canadian history to date. It is a celebration of the vibrant and resilient culture that Chinese Canadians have upheld in this country. The exhibition understands, however, that adversity and discrimination are fundamental to the experiences of Chinese Canadians and does not shy away from charting the history of anti-Asian and anti-Chinese racism in Canada in historic and current contexts. Through a motivated and effective fusion of media, this exhibit created the opportunity for the contributors to use their artistic talents to poetically educate the viewer. What is to be learned is that our cultures are not as different as they seem, and as generations of Chinese Canadians continue to deepen their roots in this country, their history becomes a part of Canada's history. Join me in congratulating the winner of the Outstanding Achievement Award in Exhibitions, A Seat at the Table, for their new permanent exhibitions represented today by Vivian Goslin, Director of Collections and Exhibitions and Curator of Contemporary Culture at the Museum of Vancouver.
We are thrilled to accept this award on behalf of UBC Instruct, the Museum of Vancouver, and the Chinese Canadian Museum for A Seat at the Table, Chinese Immigration in British Columbia. We are proud of this project that demonstrates the power of collaboration between museums, grassroots organizations, universities, and governments. We are thankful to the advisory committee, to community knowledge holders, our students, and exhibit makers who made this exhibition such a success.
我哋好高興代表 UBC Instruct 溫哥華博物館同埋 BC 省華裔博物館去接受呢一個一席之地 BC 省與華人的遷徙嘅獎項。我哋覺得好榮幸呢一個獎項可以反映到我哋呢一個項目係通過博物館、基層嘅組織、大學同埋政府之間通力合作而達到嘅成果。我哋都感謝我哋嘅計劃嘅委員會，我哋一啲社區嘅志願嘅人士，我哋嘅學生團隊同埋同我哋一齊去建立呢一個展覽嘅一啲創辦人同埋一啲嘅工作人員，去令到呢一個展覽咁成功。我們很榮幸代表 UBC Instruct 溫哥華博物館以及華裔博物館去接受這個一席之地 BC 省與華人的遷徙的這個獎項。我們非常的榮幸，這個獎項可以代表我們這個項目是通過博物館、基層的一些機構，還有大學和政府之間的合作去達到的一個成果。我們非常的感謝我們這個項目的委員會，我們一些社區的志願人士、學生團隊，還有一些跟我們一起創作這個展覽的一些工作人員，他們共同的合作去創造這個成功的展覽。
Nous sommes ravis de recevoir ce prix d'AMC.
We are delighted to receive this CMA award on behalf of UBC, the Chinese Canadian Museum. We're very proud of this project, demonstrating the value of partnership between museum, community organizations, government, and universities. To conclude, we'd like to thank members of the advisory committee, students, and all the creators who contributed to make this project a success. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations to the teams of the Museum of Vancouver and the Canadian Chinese Museum. These are truly some inspiring exhibitions. The exhibition juries would also like for us to acknowledge the following exhibitions as honorable mentions. Uninvited from the McMichael Canadian Art Collection. Eyes on the Skies from the Canada Aviation and Space Museum, Plastic Heart from the University of Toronto Art Museum, et finalement, une ode à la Lune du Jardin Botanique de Montréal.
And finally, an ode to the moon from the Montreal Botanical Garden.
Presented today will be available in the summer issue of News, coming in a few weeks. And with that, we have reached the end of the section presenting the awards of outstanding achievement. Now I will send things back over to Heather for a quick update before we move on to the awards of distinguished service and new fellows.
Now, and Armando, thank you. Before we move on to our next award, I would like to mention briefly another winner that the CMA had the honor of selecting. Generously supported by Ecclesiastical Insurance, the Governor General's History Award for Excellence in Museums, History Alive, is a partnership between the Canadian Museum Association and Canada's History Society. Canadian history is comprised of many histories. It is kept vibrant and meaningful by the roles and activities of community-based initiatives, led largely by Canada's museums, archives, and local heritage institutions. Their efforts ensure there is an enduring repository of valuable research information for future generations, as well as provide important interpretive programs that give greater personal relevance and connection for Canadians to larger national stories. The goal of History Alive Award is to honor significant achievements in the historical field and encourage standards of excellence, specifically in the presentation, preservation, and interpretation of national, regional, or local history. Following a CMA-led jury process in the fall of 2021 and announced by Canada's History in May earlier this year and in the spring issue of News Magazine, we are pleased to share that the 2021 winner of the award is Printed Textiles from Kingat Studios, a cooperative project between the Textile Museum of Canada and West Baffin Eskimo Cooperative. The exhibition tells a little-known story of a group of Inuit artists and printmakers who produced a collection of bold graphic textiles in Kingat, Nunavut in the 1950s and 1960s, a period of social change that disrupted traditional language and relationship to the land. While the exhibition was closed to visitors for several months due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Textile Museum of Canada took steps to bring the exhibition to the public with digital access for exploration and engagement. A virtual exhibition tour, along with a digital app featuring interviews with artists, images of their artwork, and the highlights different aspects of Inuit culture, expanded the reach of the exhibition. Conceived and presented as a project that foregrounds Inuit voices, expertise, and engagement, possible a process of collaboration with the community, resulting in mutually beneficial research, educational programs, and an exhibition tour. Contemporary artists from Kingat and other parts of Nunavut opened up conversations about the continued significance of these early printed fabrics and their importance in the history of Inuit culture and heritage today. The award will be presented formally by the Governor General at a ceremony combining both the 2021 and 2022 recipients later this year. We would like to thank the jury that presided over the selection of this prestigious award, Canada's History for their supportive partnership in this presentation, the sponsorship Ecclesiastical Insurance has provided, whose contribution makes our participation possible, and finally, the project itself for demonstrating at a high level what Canadian museums can do to present and preserve shared histories. Congratulations to the Textile Museum of Canada and the West Baffin Eskimo Cooperative. You can read more about the project in the spring issue of Muse magazine or on the Canada's History website. Also watch for this year's call for nominations, which will be launched in late July. Now we will move into the individual awards portion of the ceremony. And for that, I'll hand things back over to Tracy and Armando.
You're a brave woman with my performance today. Here we go. The Award of Distinguished Service recognizes significant contributions by individuals to the Canadian museum sector throughout the course of their careers. Those eligible for this award are professionals that have worked for over 20 years in the Canadian museum community and whose contributions are significant and recognized. This year, we are pleased to present 3 recipients in this category. Described by colleagues as a pragmatic voice of common sense, Dean Bausch's career in the Canadian cultural sector has been an exemplary in advancing provincial and national agendas with consistency. Often commended for bringing the Saskatchewan perspective to national conversations, Mr. Bausch has been a valuable contributor to museum policy, notably in the 1990s, participating in a CMA working group to develop human resource strategy for the Canadian museum sector. And yet, even when working on a national scale, his peers cite his endearing commitment to small towns and small museums. His position as a curator of the Allen Sapp Gallery was just one factor in earning several awards recognizing outstanding service in the museum sector, including the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal in 2012 and the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Museums Association of Saskatchewan in 2019. In retirement, Mr. Bausch remains avidly committed to the betterment of Canadian museums as a volunteer consultant. Join me in congratulating the winner of the Distinguished Service Award, Dean Bausch.
I'd like to begin by thanking the CMA for the honor of being able to receive the Distinguished Service Award. My career in the cultural sector continues to be a very rich and fulfilling experience for me. It's offered me real insight into our history as Canadians, both the good and the bad. And I believe that we, who are a part of the museums community, are the story keepers. I believe that it is our responsibility to seek that truth and to explore those stories and to offer forums for reconciliation where it's necessary. I believe that it is truly an honor to be part of this community that can make a difference. Thank you very much for the award.
Thank you, Dean. Kirsten Claussen has earned this award after 30 years of extensive involvement in the cultural industries of British Columbia, working hard to improve the province's museums and their associations and contributing significantly through her work with the British Columbia Museums Association, Barkerville Heritage Trust, and currently as the Executive Director of Heritage BC. Within the BC Museums community, a tremendous amount of respect is unanimously expressed toward Kirsten for her reinvigoration of the once struggling Britannia Mine Museum. During her 20-year tenure as the museum's executive director, the positive influence of her involvement could be seen at every level, from the restoration of the dilapidated space to the conception of not just viable, but profitable financial models. Following her retirement in 2020, she leaves behind a legacy of excellence in an institution that will maintain her diligent and positive work ethic, believing wholeheartedly, as she did, that no challenge is insurmountable. Join me in congratulating the winner of the Distinguished Service Award, Kirsten Claussen.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so very much. It's absolutely a joy to be among colleagues this morning. And I thank the Canadian Museum Association. I'm quite proud and very excited to be accepting this special honor. I am deeply touched, truly. My career has been inspirational to me, and it has been very thought-provoking as well over the years as our goals and missions and expectations have changed. We have been given very lofty achievements to try to achieve, and I've always counted myself as being supported by an amazing group of colleagues to achieve our ultimate goals. And collectively and individually, we set these goals to do the best possible presentation of history and heritage. I know I'm going to continue to focus my efforts and to bring engagement so that we can do so in our own diverse and authentic ways. Truly, this award means so much to me. I thank those who nominated myself and many of the others, the Canadian Museum Association, of which I've always been proud to be a member, and best of luck in the future. And again, thank you.
Thanks so much, Kirsten. And as always, great outfit.
Thank you, Tracy.
Our next award winner being Francophone, I will pass along to my colleague Armando to do the honors.
Merci, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy. Guy Tremblay began his career in the Arts Canada Agency in 1983. After having worked in the private sector in the development of historical sites in Gaspésie and Lac Saint-Jean, he joined the team of the Musée Régional de la Côte-Nord in 1990 as curator and then as executive director, pursuing a master's degree in organizational management at the University of Quebec at Chicoutimi. He was invited early in 2000 to ensure the financial consolidation of the Musée Amérindien de Massouillache, and then to set up a project-based management system for Espace Virtuel Artist Center in Chicoutimi in January 2002. He became manager of museum services for the Department of Tourism, Heritage, and Culture of the Government of New Brunswick, a position he held until his retirement in February 2021. At its recent annual general meeting, the Heritage New Brunswick Association presented him with the Founders Award 2021 for his outstanding contribution to the establishment of the museum network and the development of funding programs for institutions, and for his ability to listen to their needs while providing advice and expertise in organizational development for the province's museum community. Please join me in congratulating the recipient of the Meritorious Service Award, Guy Tremblay. Thank you, Armando. It is a great pleasure, and I'm very grateful for this Distinguished Service Award in company of Christine and Dean. I sincerely thank the members of the jury and the staff and the people who nominated me for this distinction. Being known by my peers is something I'm very grateful for, but it couldn't have been done without the support of the community, the artists, and the colleagues who are passionate about heritage and culture, and the many friends that I've had the privilege of working alongside throughout my 38 years working in this field. And this is something we have observed. A number of the projects presented and the award winners indicate the great partnership leading to their success. So finally, I have a thought towards my family members to accompany me throughout this remarkable pathway that encourages people to always do better. Thank you very much. Thank you, Guy, and congratulations once again.
The presentation of this year's awards of distinguished service. I will now pass things along to my colleague and CMA past president, Mike Wallace, for the presentation of the President's Award.
Thank you very much, Armando. The President's Award provides the association with the opportunity to recognize exceptional contributions to our community. And in today's case, an individual who's gone above and beyond for her career and for the sector. This prestigious award recognizes exceptional and long-term contributions to museums and heritage. As your past president of the CMA, it's my honor to present one such individual to you today. We all know that Canadians love their museums. And of course, some Canadians really, really love their museums. And today we recognize one of those individuals. Thank you for the slide. Anita Price, the recently retired former executive director of the Association of Nova Scotia Museums, is in a person emblematic of the type of commitment and enthusiasm for museums that we strive for, especially as representatives of our museums associations. Capping off a career of over 30 years in the museum sector, Anita was the executive director of the Association of Nova Scotia Museums for the last 12 years, during which she was an untiring advocate, truly living her calling and building strong relationships within the community, with all levels of government, and especially with members of her association. According to one of her colleagues, she always went above and beyond the requirements of the job to advocate for museums in the province, share her passion for heritage, and make sure that every museum, no matter how small, had their concerns heard and their questions answered. Her hard work, enthusiasm, and positivity in the face of endless challenges are truly inspiring to others in our heritage community. Her passion for innovation and adapting new technologies led Nova Scotian museums to become international leaders in collections management and virtual school programming. In a world that was, at the end of her career, working together to face the challenges of a certain pandemic, this foresight and tenacity to embrace the future helped her members push through and adapt in changing times. She was never one and done, but always ensured that guidance and resource documents provided by her association were maintained and updated, and that museums had the personal support they needed to use them. What does someone who loves museum do on their own vacation time? Why, of course, travel to museums throughout the province, meeting volunteers and staff. Anita has been part of a supporting community outside of Nova Scotia as well. Her provincial and territorial museums associations colleagues knew her supportive nature as well in national projects and encouraging a sense of collaboration. I had the opportunity to have a few conversations with Anita last year as president of our association. She was very welcoming and clearly a very passionate, dedicated museum professional who loved museums and their potential. And I'm very pleased to present her this award, this year's CMA President's Award.
I'm honored to receive the CMA President's Award in 2022. This is really important to me, a wonderful acknowledgement of my time working with museums. I've recently completed 35 years working with museums in Canada and elsewhere. And I will say I really do continue to believe in the important role that museums play in the fabric of Canadian society. And for myself, I'm not planning on going anywhere. I hope to serve museums for many more years to come. My thanks to the ANSOM board members who nominated me. That's wonderful, thank you. And again, my special thanks to the CMA for this acknowledgement.
Thanks, Anita. And thanks, of course, for your work and passion. Yeah, it's been awesome. Thank you. And also thank you for being so welcoming. Now for the final presentation, I will now pass things along to my distinguished colleague and chair of the CMA Fellows, Robin Ingalls, for this year's presentation of new CMA Fellows. Robin.
Good morning, everybody. Bonjour from Langley, British Columbia, situated on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Kwantlen First Nation. And thank you to everyone for staying with this award ceremony until close to the very end. My name, as Mike has said, is Robin Ingalls, and I'm currently the chair of the CMA Fellows. And it's my honor to open this final session that will introduce you to the most recent fellow to be appointed by the board of directors. Being named a fellow is the highest honor that the association can bestow upon a member. The first fellows were named 53 years ago in 1969, and today's appointee is the 79th member to be so honored. Appointments are made on the basis of long, distinguished, and exemplary service to the profession, noteworthy contributions to the advancement of museums, and a significant contribution to the work of the association. Any member of the association can submit a nomination according to criteria and a process that is announced well in advance of the mid-November deadline each year. I encourage you all to consider colleagues whom you may know and respect and whom you believe could merit this distinctive honor. Although most of the fellows today are retired, a number still engage with museums and the profession and the association on a regular basis. Some still hold positions on the front lines, others advise and consult, and many teach and write. As a group, we sponsor the Fellows Lecture at the CMA Annual Conference. And in this context, I'd like to thank Dr. Joseph Wask of Vancouver for his big support and donation, financial donation to make this annual Fellows Lecture possible. So as a group, we do that. And then as individuals, we still serve on committees and task forces, and even, as in the case of Tracy Trump this year, on the board of directors. So it's now time for me to have us speak of the association's newest fellow. And I would like to invite my colleague and fellow, Dr. Victoria Dickinson, to introduce and celebrate the achievements and contributions of a very special member of our profession. Over to Victoria.
Well, thank you, Robin. First, I want to acknowledge the place from which I'm joining you today, the island of Newfoundland, the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk, now gone, and the unceded territory of the Beothuk and Mi'kmaq. On behalf of my fellow nominators, Nika Collison and Donna Livingston, I want to welcome Dr. Gerald Mcmaster to the Fellowship of the Canadian Museums Association. Gerald cannot join us today, but he has accepted with delight this honor. Dr. McMaster is Plains Cree from the Red Pheasant Cree Nation and a citizen of the Siksika Nation. He currently holds the Canada Research Chair in Indigenous Visual Culture and Curatorial Practice and is director of the Wapata Centre for Indigenous Visual Knowledge at OCAD University in Toronto. I have known Gerald almost my entire working life in museums and have followed his distinguished career with admiration. He was engaged in 1981 as curator of contemporary Indian art at the then Canadian Museum of Civilization in Hull, where he was responsible for the development of the first People's Hall. This experience prepared him for his work on inaugural exhibitions and programs for the National Museum of the American Indian at the Smithsonian. Returning to Canada in 2005, he worked until 2012 as curator of Canadian art at the Art Gallery of Ontario. Again, undertaking a major project, the reinstallation of the gallery's Canadian wing, which acknowledged the long history of Indigenous art in Canada. After leaving the AGO in 2012, he continued to work as an independent curator and advisor to museums in Australia, Europe, and North America, and most recently as an adjunct curator at the Remai Modern in Saskatoon. He has also represented Canada as the Canadian Commissioner to the 46th 1995 Biennale in Venice and to the 18th Biennale of Sydney in 2012. Gerald has not only had an impressive career within museums, but more significantly, he has revolutionized them. His grounded and thoughtful observations shared with his colleagues in meetings, conferences, and through his writing and exemplary exhibitions have changed the way the museum community, not just in Canada, but around the world, collects, preserves, and exhibits the works of Indigenous artists. Nika Collison has written how Gerald's, and I quote, incredible, tireless work has enlightened, benefited, and inspired us all. It is beyond wonderful to see your hard vision, hard work, and scholarship, and the way in which you do this work honored, end quote. Gerald a partagé ses idées et son savoir unique.
Gerald has shared his unique insight and knowledge, not only with the museum he worked with, but also with his professional colleagues through his participation in the CMA groundbreaking
working group
group of museum and First Nations in the
through his
80s.
service
And through his service on the CMA Board of Directors, he contributed greatly to the journey of reconciliation the Canadian Museum and all of us have embarked on.
Our thanks to the Canadian Museum Association on accepting Dr. McMaster among its fellows, and our heartfelt congratulations to a wonderful recipient of this honor, Gerald McMaster. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. And now turning it back to Heather.
Thank you so much, Victoria and Robin, and big congratulations to Dr. Gerald McMaster, of course, one of my big inspirations in my career, as I'm sure for many of you. It's now time to say goodbye, which I'm very sad about. And if I was in person, I would want to hug all of you and give you high fives and just really celebrate the amazing work that you've done for the museum field. Before we go, I do want to take a moment to say thank you to a few people and supporters. First, thank you to my fellow presenters, Bruce, Armando, Tracy, Robin, and Victoria. It's been wonderful joining you virtually as always. I can't wait till we can do these things in person. Thank you also to the CMA staff who organized nominations, assembled jurors, notified recipients, drafted write-ups and scripts and communication materials, and brought all of you here today. Notably, Linda McConnell, Cora Henshaw, Fiona Thistle, Richard Archibald, as well as our 2 interns, Denise Schultz and Matthias Bessia. Also, thank you to Leanne at Intertask Conferences for her assistance with today's presentations. We have some of the hardest working staff in the museum industry. I might be a bit biased about that, but honestly, they are so wonderful at bringing us all together, even over the past 2 years. In addition, thank you to our award partners and sponsors, the Canadian Federation of Friends of Museums, Canada's History, and Ecclesiastical Insurance. We couldn't do this without you. A big thank you to the dozens of volunteer jurors who pored over and carefully reviewed this year's 60 award nominations. As we all know, volunteers are incredibly important in our sector, and anybody that takes on additional work, big nyawigoa to all of you for that. We really, really do appreciate it. And the biggest thank you, the biggest nyawigoa, to this year's nominees and recipients whose hard work and dedication has shown us what our sector can achieve and what it has to offer to the communities we care so deeply for. Finally, a thank you to all of you in attendance and the rest of the CMA membership for coming together to celebrate and support each other. On that note, it's time to wrap things up and celebrate in a manner appropriate for your time zone. For me, it's more coffee. Thank you all for being here and have a very pleasant day and a great end of your week. It's been fantastic.